I was thinking about creative ways to make the quality of your YouTube videos better without spending more money. More than having a really expensive camera, really expensive lenses, you should be able to use a pretty inexpensive camera in order to get amazing quality footage. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the process of me learning how to set up different types of cinematic lighting in order to make my YouTube videos better. By the end of the video, you'll know how to turn your very average looking footage to turning it into something that looked like it was shot on a camera that costed thousands of dollars. First, I need to do a lot of research. So we go to YouTube University and figure out what types of lighting that I want to incorporate and learn how to do. Okie dokie. After an entire day of research, I've decided to test out 4 different scenes. For each scene, I want to do a high key and a low key lighting setup, meaning something very bright in the day and then something moody and at night. The first one I want to do is to set up here at the window and see how I can light this setup best. Even if you're shooting on a really expensive, nice camera, you can still get pretty bad footage. Let me show you what it would look like if I turned all the lights off. Pretty boring, which is not what you want to keep people's attention on YouTube. If you have no lights, no nothing, if this is what you got, it's acceptable. I'm going to show you what I'm going to change to make this image look better. I've switched out the lens. I want there to be some practical lights in the shot to make it a little bit more interesting. Practical lights are basically lights that play a part in the production design or the set design. So in the set behind me, you want there to be some practicals to make it interesting to look at. I have a light set up to the right of me that I'm going to turn on. There's also a lamp back there, as well as one over there. I'm also going to add a hair light, basically a light that is aimed at the back of my head to add a bit of a rim light so I pop out and I separate from the background. I'm using the Godox 60-watt light with a round, newer softbox. It's basically the broke-ass version of the aperture light. Not all of us have $1,000 just for one light. The reason why I love this light so much is because it is so soft. The bigger the light source and the bigger and rounder the softbox, the better and softer the light is, and that's perfect for females. So now I'm going to add a bounce. I'm just using a foam board, by the way. You can use any kind of white material. So this is what it looks like with no bounce. And if I put a bounce in, slightly softening the shadows on the bottom of my chin to be a little bit extra, I wanted to experiment with lighting the background. So I'm going to instead switch out the Godox light, aim it at the background so that there's more light back there. And then I'm going to take a Fovatech light, basically one of your basic lighting kits that you can get on Amazon. It comes with a square softbox. It's not as soft because it is a square shape and it's smaller. I'm gonna use that as my rim light instead. So much better. I'm going to add a diffusion filter. I'm going to be using Cinebloom in 10%. Basically what this is there are a bunch of little particles on this glass that once you put it in front of the lens, it diffuses the highlights even more. It basically creates a halation effect around light. You're gonna notice that is before and this is after. It creates this beautiful bloom that is perfect for any kind of highlight. It softens the skin. It's really great at hiding any blemishes you might have. Last but not least, I like to white balance. That's basically how you get the most natural looking color so things don't look too blue or too warm, which is a definite sign of an amateur setting up their camera. So now it should be properly white balanced. I use this handy dandy gray card. You don't technically need a gray card, but ever since I bought this, it's made white balancing really easy. Typically, you can point it at the ground outside if it is gray. The problem is it doesn't always work if the surface is not matte, which is why it actually has been very helpful. So let's roll through every single light being turned on. Now let's do a low-key setup. So this is the shot with no lights. Now we're going to add a key light. I'm going to be using the Godox light. From here, I'm going to add some practicals. I'll turn this light on, add another lamp over here so it warms the shot up a little bit. I'm probably going to just put another lamp beside me so it will light the side of my face. Adds a little bit more interest to this shot. Now let's put the diffusion filter on. Let me test out lowering the intensity of the Godox light and see how low we can get it. I actually like it at 10%. It's a little bit less contrasty, a little bit more moody. Now I want to try it at a 3/4 angle. You know, that Rembrandt lighting might still work because this light is so soft that it might actually be better for a low-key light. I put the rim light on the other side of me to counterbalance the shadows. For shooting at night and to get that dramatic low-key lighting effect, I really like this setup. Time for the desk setup. So first I will show you what the shot will look like before adding any lights. This is the framing that I like. I am going to add a key light right in front of me. I'm using newer lights. I've also opened the window curtains all the way so it's flooding the space with a lot more ambient light, and it's creating this really cool rim light on my face while this window is creating another rim light on my face. Next, I'm going to incorporate practical light. So I have a light sitting on my left hand side on my table, and it is going to be a warm light. I'll give the image a nice warm glow on the left side of the frame. Now I will turn on a light back there. Now I feel like my left side is a little bit blah, even though you're not supposed to see anything back there. I'm going to move a lamp so there will be another practical light. It's stacked on some books so that it's not so same. Instead of adding another light to the background to make it even brighter, I think I'll instead add a hair light to give myself a rim light to separate myself from the background, especially all this darkness back here. I'm going to try double breaking this light, which basically means you're putting more diffusion in front of the light so that it has more soft diffusion. Even if you don't have a softbox, you can use any kind of thin white material, whether it's a bed sheet, a shower curtain, some tissue paper, napkins, any of that stuff. The shadows under my chin aren't so harsh and artificial looking. I put this foreground element at the front of the shot so there's something interesting to look at instead of just my face. And luckily I have this little lamp. Let's try doing the bounce light thing like before. This is with the bounce light. It's really subtle. Honestly, I think I can do without it. What do you think? Last but not least, the diffusion filter, because it's going to really soften everything up. This is the final setup. Looks pretty good to me. Now let's do the bedroom studio with Vincent. This is the room that I have had the most problems with. It is really cramped. The way it is laid out, there is so much stuff everywhere. I can't fit all that many lights in here. This is the shot with no light. So the first thing we're going to do is add a key light. Because Vincent is a man and he has darker skin, we can actually use harder light, and I'll use the Phobotech light. Instead of doing very flat front-on lighting, I'm going to light him from the side to get that Rembrandt lighting to accentuate his manliness. Let's open those windows back there for more backlight situation. Now I think we need some practical lights. We have some hanging lights back there. Why not add a hair light coming from this side to really pop him back from the background? Much better. The last thing that really bothers me, this is not lit. I will bring a lamp so that it's warm against all this bright high key lighting. The finishing touch, diffusion filter.
Whoa, it's like I'm in a De Palma all of a sudden.
The window turns out to be too bright with the diffusion filter, so I'm going to close the blinds a little bit, and there we have it. I showed you it is in fact possible to make your videos look better without having to buy a really expensive camera. You can be clever about using the things that are already around your house. Once you've figured out how to make your videos look amazing, you should watch these videos next, because when you combine these tips, the results are really powerful.